Assalamu alaikum, good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Talking Point. I'm your host, Saeed Niaz Ahmed. In our studios today, we have a young lady, Shomi Hassan Chaudhry. She is a Diana Legacy Award recipient and she has recently arrived in London to carry on with the good work that she has been doing in Dhaka and also in Malaysia. Welcome to the show, Shomi. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us your time.
Of course, with pleasure.
What brings you to London?
So I am currently living in London to work at the Diana Award. I just joined the Diana Award team as a project manager. So I will be leading a project called Center for Social Action.
This Center for Social Action, what does it involve? I mean, what is the project? That's a very good name.
Yeah, so it is basically, I will be building a digital platform that will provide young people from around the world who are not already involved with different programs of the Diana Award with different resources and tools. So aspiring entrepreneurs, change makers who want to do something for their community, who want to be civil society leaders, but they don't have access to different opportunities and resources. So essentially this platform will be providing them with those means.
So who will be your target? The young people living in Europe, the young people living in Britain, or throughout the world?
It's actually throughout the world. So we are targeting almost 200,000 young people around the globe.
How would you be contacting those 200,000 people?
Well, that is something I am yet to explore. So we are thinking of doing different interviews and surveys to really first understand what is it that young people around the world need. And based on the results of those analysis, we will be deciding what kind of platform we want to build, whether it's going to be a website, an app. So yeah, it is yet to be determined, which is why I have been recruited for this role.
Right, and will you be concentrating on a particular geographical region of the world, or?
No, it will be open to all around the world. However, there is an age limit, so it's from 9 to 25. So that's the group of young people we are targeting initially.
And what would you be providing? I mean, I know awareness is a very broad term. See, yes, I want to be aware of my rights. I want to be aware of what can I do in my future life. What sort of education, what sort of prospects will be there after I graduate, and what if I want to go into business and I can't go into business without having a capital, so would somebody help me? Are these things considered in your projects?
These are definitely things that we're considering under this portfolio. So for example, capacity building of young people, it could be different sorts of 21st century essential skills. So it could be building their leadership potential. It could be their communication skills, crisis management. How can someone be a leader in moments of crisis? If someone wants to be an entrepreneur, like how do they write a pitch deck? How do they present their ideas in front of investors? So it could be peer-to-peer mentoring even, like so that they can learn from the existing role models in that field of interest. So yeah, it is really a multitude of things that we are considering to be included in this platform.
Right. Now tell me something about yourself, because straight away we went into what you have been doing. But tell us something about what do you want to do yourself? I mean, it's just you want to encourage people to do what they want to do, and the Diana Legacy will help them, these projects will help them, but what you want to do for your own self?
Yeah, so I think this is a good time to talk about my nonprofit. So I am a water, sanitation and hygiene WASH activist. So for the last almost 10 years, I have been working in the field of youth development, particularly for sustainable development, empowering young people. So 9 years ago, I co-founded a nonprofit organization called Awareness 360, through which we have been working with youths from over 40 countries, mainly in the global south. So Bangladesh, Malaysia, and a lot of other countries in Asia and Africa. And And this is something that I have really felt passionate about. So when I was offered this position at the Diana Award, where I can reach an even broader range of young people, I thought this is very much aligned with my past experiences as well as my passion. So through Awareness 360, what we have been doing in the past almost a decade is empowering youths with different skills, different campaigning skills, leadership and communications and so on, skills and tools and resources, so that they can become the change maker they want to be in their own community. And the overall guideline that we have been following is the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 Agenda, particularly SDG 6, which is clean water and sanitation. So back home we have been working with different vulnerable groups and communities. So we have, for example, worked with the sex workers community, the sanitation workers, different under-resourced schools, people with disabilities, different slum dwellers, refugees, different kinds of under-resourced communities, and understand their level of access to different human rights, for example, clean water and sanitation and so on, and then providing them with those services and knowledge, especially trying to induce a behavioral change in them by doing different. So for example, way before COVID, we have been doing a lot of hand washing campaigns in schools, trying to raise awareness about the significance of washing hands properly and so on. So these are different things that we have been doing, and while doing so, my personal passion has been in the clean water and sanitation space, but I and my co-founder, we both realized that there are so many other young people just like ourselves who also want to do something for their community, which is when Awareness 360 was born as a global platform to bring in young people where they can share each other's best practices, learn from each other, motivate each other, and become civil society leaders in their individual communities.
Great. I mean, you have been trying to make people understand about the usefulness and the importance of clean water and sanitation. And right now, most Asian countries are experiencing this dengue, waterborne mosquitoes or whatever they are. They pass on. And the thing is that we talk about clean water, but how to provide clean water, because that is not just as easy as done. The clean water has to be pumped through the system to reach the people living in those slums where they are suffering most. Has anybody done that research or a study on that?
Yeah, there definitely has been different studies, and to be honest with you, this has been an ongoing challenge, because sometimes when we do, because our campaigns are mostly on the software part of things, where we want them to get habituated with different healthy habits, but then when we reach out to these communities, it becomes, what we are advocating for becomes quite redundant, given that they don't, if we are asking them to wash their hands and they don't have access to clean water, then how is it going to? So I think this is something where it's not just like NGOs or non-profits like ours can play this whole part, but this is something
so
where
you have to work with the
government,
the powers that are.
Exactly. The private sector has a role to play, the public sector has a role to play the governments. So this is definitely something that where we need multiple stakeholders to come towards addressing this challenge. Even when it comes to, it is said that there might be a war about water in future, right? So there is definitely, it's a very challenging thing to, and a very concerning topic to discuss, and which is why it has also made it to the Sustainable Development Goals agenda, right, as one of the Sustainable Development Goals, where governments are discussing how it is possible to ensure that everyone has access to clean water. So we need more investment in the water space.
Well, probably, as you said, that there might be war about water and for water, but there might be war about food, because as the population goes up of the world, there will be a scarcity of food, and people think that they'll be looking underwater. The seabed can provide a lot of food to the increasing number of people. Now the population of the world has gone up, is going up constantly. Of course there are disasters and wars and all that, and that takes care of some of it, but the population is increasing and the environment is changing. What is your take on environment? Have you?
Yeah, this is climate change is obviously the biggest threat that we are facing right now, and as you have mentioned earlier about dengue fever, for example, and the neglected tropical diseases, it's one of the NTDs, and these are like everything that is happening around us right now, food insecurity, water issue, different diseases, outbreaks, and so on. These are all related to climate change, right? Because of the warming temperature. Earlier, the neglected tropical diseases, the irony is that they're called neglected because it mostly affects the poorest of the population, right? But these days, we're even seeing this kind of diseases outbreak in different developed countries as well. And these are all the impacts of climate change. And I think this is where we definitely need more attention and more action when it comes to addressing environmental issues. I think there are two things to be done. One is, of course, in an individual level, like what am I doing, my everyday habit, plastic pollution or not, like the kind of, taking short showers, avoiding meat, and so on. Like these are everyday actions that we as people can do. But on the other hand, I think we also need to talk about the investments on fossil fuels. Like, are we moving towards renewable energy or not? And that is something that we often skip while focusing too much on the individual part. But that is really where corporates need to step up. So I definitely think that in terms of environment, governments have to take bold decisions and making sure that we step out of different fossil fuel related projects. To really save our
Good that you mentioned fossil fuels, you see, because now the world and most governments in the West and also in the East, they're thinking of cutting down on that and also going towards electric cars and even I think last night or day before yesterday I saw in the news that Bangladesh has been offered by a multinational company they will be producing electric cars in Bangladesh, see. So that's good news because, China is producing, even for BMW, China is producing cars, electric cars in their country, you see. So it is not important where it is made, it is important that it is made and it is used so that the climate does not change further and it remains good for good living rather than good for bad living, because people have to live on this planet. They can't go somewhere else, you see. There are pie in the sky ideas about we will possibly organize a station in the space and people could probably travel and live there for months, you see. But I think it's still time has not come yet to. That would be good for Mr. Simpson to think like that, but the cartoon, but not practical as yet, but possibly in future, everything is possible. When you went from Dhaka to Malaysia, that was a scholarship, isn't it?
Yeah, so I went to study my undergrad. So I finished my undergrad in economics from University Putra, Malaysia. And after that, I came back home. It was actually right before the pandemic, so I got stuck at home for a while. And then in the meantime, I also finished a master's degree as a Schwarzman scholar. It's a scholarship program administered from New York. However, the residency is in China, in Beijing at Tsinghua University.
That's really strange. It's a scholarship from America and the residency is in China.
Yeah, but unfortunately I couldn't make it to China because of the pandemic, so I ended up finishing the whole degree. So it was a master's in global affairs. So I finished it in, remotely I completed the degree, and then I moved to London for working at the Diana Award.
Good, great. What was your experience at this university in this, Putri?
University Putra, Malaysia.
University
yes.
Putra, Malaysia. Yeah. How was the experience? How did you find your teachers, your the other students? I know that there are a lot of international students there.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely a great experience. I mean, it was a mix of both, in the sense that when, as an international student, I'm sure you can relate, living in a different country, moving abroad, and living on your own is it comes with its own fair share of challenges. But from a university standpoint, I've definitely had access to some outstanding professors and teachers from whom I could learn a lot. But apart from the academic facilities, there was also a different extracurricular opportunities for me as well. So for example, I was working on my nonprofit on the side, and I had to travel a lot because of different speaking engagements during my studies. And my teachers have been extremely helpful and very much supportive. So whenever I had to travel abroad, I had to miss classes, so they would accommodate those circumstances for me, which I'm very grateful for. So I think they have really given me that opportunity to nurture myself, not just from an academic standpoint, but also overall. Yes, and also it's a very diverse country. I loved living in Malaysia in general. It's a very diverse country. Different races are living together in harmony. I think there's a lot to learn from them. And just like I had access to different international people and friends, learning about different cultures, so that cultural exchange portion is also something I definitely enjoyed. And that experience was so beneficial for me, I guess, just for my personal growth, that I decided to move to a new city like London again, because I was really chasing that thrill of getting to live with other different kinds of people in a diverse city.
Right. How did you find the youth? The Malaysian youth, I have read a lot about them, that they're very straightforward, to the point. They don't involve in things that not interest them, that should not be bothering them. They're very straightforward and with one aim, well-intentioned. Is that so? I have really met a wide range of people, right? And so I have definitely experienced that kind of students and young people. On the other hand, I have also been very lucky and privileged to work with youths from Malaysia, from different universities actually, who have been extremely active and doing stuff like we're championing for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, attending different conferences, and extremely active. But for the large part, I think you're right. I have had a similar experience where I've seen that they're too focused on the academic grades. So, for example, if there are only two options, A and B, they're a bit reluctant to think about an option C, and which is why actually it motivated me, because I saw that as a potential opportunity to address. So through my nonprofit, I have been, and through my university's support as well, we have been organizing different conferences. For example, I did a survey with different university students in Malaysia, and I realized that they have no clue about the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the role of young people. So the idea or the notion they have about things like the UN is like, oh, this is not something that we should be bothered about. It's something the heads of states should be talking about. The UN, it's like big stuff, not for us. So they were not as enlightened about the role that youth can play in everyday life. Why do you think as you said, the word enlightened? See, why aren't they so enlightened about world affairs, rather than they concentrate on or focus on what matters them?
I think it is, of course, a lack of willingness. That is one. Lack of role models, probably, and also the pressure from home. I think there's a lot of pressure from parents on their kids.
Get along with their studies.
Just focus on your study, concentrate on your exams and stuff like that. So I think that kind of don't give them, and also like the academic pressure is also a lot. So a lot of people think that if they don't have good grades, they can't shine in life. So they make that their ultimate priority, whereas completely disregarding that other extracurricular activities, getting involved with global affairs and other important things in the world can actually help them grow as well, and can open up different doors for them. Right. So I think where the teachers, the academic institutions have a role to play, bringing them different opportunities. For example, I organized and I also spoke at a TEDx event in my university, and during that TEDx event there were speakers from 8 different countries who came to Malaysia to our university to speak about the different things they were doing. For example, there was an artist who spoke about artivism, like how does she create art, and through art she is raising awareness about different social issues. There was someone who talked about leaving their corporate job in Canada to start a comedy show. They wanted to be comedians, so they were really chasing their passion, which are very unconventional, and that really motivated a lot of students who were present at that TEDx talk. So I think having opportunities like this to actually listen to different people, like shows like this, for example, where you get to hear from different perspectives, different insights, can really open up your mind, and I think those kind of opportunities can actually help Malaysian youths to think out of the box.
Great. Did you find the teachers, I mean the faculty at the university, are they mostly Malaysians, or is it an international blend of?
It was mostly Malaysian. Yes, it is a public university, and most of my teachers were Malaysian locals.
So you found them well informed and interested in teaching their students and sympathetic, and they have the aim that the students who are there should go back with a lot of education crammed inside their brains and then go and work in the practical world.
I mean, it's a mixed experience.
As I get it from your conversation, that probably they are not concentrating much on the outside world.
Yes, some professors were definitely more focused on the lessons of the syllabus, and more, of course, that is their job, that is their responsibility to make sure that their students get the best grades. However, there were also different professors. For example, one of my supervisors, actually, his name is Professor Amir Hamza Jantan. He has been extremely supportive. He was my entrepreneurship course teacher, but even other than that, he was involved with supervising different clubs. For example, there was an ISEC club, different cultural clubs, entrepreneurship clubs, and so on. So he has always been someone who would motivate his students to do things outside the box, for example, like he would invite guest speakers or connect us with important people, like other people, to give us new insights and ideas. So I think he has definitely made a great example in the university, inspiring other teachers to follow his footsteps and really encourage their students to go beyond what is in the academic curriculum.
Right, is he thinking out of the box?
Yes.
Well, that's the kind of teachers really that motivate the students, and they are the ideals of students, because anybody can pick up a book and teach.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
But to provide the leadership quality, to have the leadership qualities, and to provide the guidance, what is going to come in their life next year, next month, next week. Yeah,
this actually reminds me of my high school exchange experience in the U.S.
I will come to that later, because we are going to take a break here, and when we come back, we'll talk about your high school experience in the States. Thank you very much for being with us, and we hope that you enjoyed so far, and we'll be back after this very short break. Thank you. Bye for now. Welcome back. Just before the break, we were talking to our young guest today, Shomi Hassan Chaudhry, a Diana Legacy Award winner. She is in the studio, and we have been talking about a lot of things that most young people think about. The awareness that needs to be cultivated and raised in the minds of our youth. This Diana Legacy Award, tell us something about it. You were awarded in 2019.
Yes.
And I understand at the 2021 award, you were one of the judges.
Yes.
Now, who is going to get an award? Is it through nomination, or through a selection, or through an examination?
Good question. So basically, the Diana Award Foundation is a royal charity in the name of Princess Diana, of course. And so they have two awards.
Who are the trustees?
They're mostly based in the UK. There's a number of trustees in the board of the Diana Award. And so basically there are two awards. One is the Diana Award, which is annual, and the other is the Diana Legacy Award, which is biannual. So how the process works is it's a nomination process. There is no application process. So someone who knows a young person within the age bracket of 9 and 25 who is doing social change making work for at least 12 months can nominate. So someone who knows the person in a professional capacity can nominate the young person for the award. And if someone gets the award, so it's a global award, it's open to anyone from around the world. Once someone gets the Diana Award, that person is automatically considered for the Legacy Award, which will take place in every 2 years. So out of the Diana Award recipients of the previous 2 years, there is a separate judging panel for the Legacy Award who chooses 20 people from the last two cohorts, and then these 20 people are awarded with the Diana Legacy Award, and they're invited to London for an experience, a legacy experience of different leadership activities. So for example, when in 2019...
For what sort of length of time?
It's a 1 week program. So in 2019, when I got here, I received my award from Princess Diana's brother, Lord Spencer, at the Painted Hall. And then we were also invited to meet His Royal Highness Prince William at the Kensington Palace. We had different sessions on branding, communications, leadership, and so on. So it was a very productive week indeed, and also a lot of celebratory activities involved. And then in 2021, I was invited to, I was actually the first Bangladeshi to be invited to join the Legacy Award judging panel alongside Lord Spencer, who is Princess Diana's brother. So to be on the other side of the table, to be involved in the selection process of another group of...
And that within 2 years?
Yes, so I definitely take it as a huge privilege and honor.
Great. It's a privilege and honor for yourself and also for the country, Bangladesh.
Thank you.
Your trip to US as a high school exchange student, what is it called, high school?
Yes, so it is called the Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study, in short YES program. It's a program sponsored by the US State Department.
Kennedy 1%, Lugar another person.
Yes, yeah, they're both US senators.
Yes.
So the YES program, and it's actually turning 20 years old this year. So next week I'm going to the US in Washington DC to attend the global anniversary, the 20th anniversary celebration event of the YES program. So essentially it invites young people, 15 to 17-year-olds from Muslim majority countries to come to the US, live with an American host family and study for 1 year, 1 academic year, and study at an American high school and do represent their country as their youth ambassadors and do cultural exchange. So I was...
What is the whole idea behind it? I mean, just to provide awareness of the world and how different people live in different countries?
Yes, definitely. Cultural exchange is obviously the main aspect of the program. But this program was actually launched, if I remember correctly, after the 9/11 incident, because there was a lot of course, a lot of notions about Muslims around the world, which is why this program was created to break those stereotypes about Muslim students.
Yeah, it will inculcate understandings and openness. And
yes,
fairness.
that is why mostly like Muslim majority countries are picked for this program, where young students come to America, live 1 year with an American family.
They go to school?
They go to a high school there, so 8th till 11th or 12th grade, and then they would there would be, like they would get to know each other and really see how a young person from a different country, especially from a Muslim country, can be like. How
he thinks, how he behaves.
Exactly.
In different circumstances.
Yeah. Yes, and what I liked about this program is not only did I get the opportunity to live with an American family who are like my real family really, and to understand the American culture more, but also how I got to represent my own country, my culture, my traditions. That has definitely made me, I think, gave me that sense of pride or patriotism when I actually, as a young student studying in an American school and living in an American environment. But also I had access to meet and be friends with and learn from students from over 60 countries. And I will be meeting some of them after many years next week in DC. So this is definitely something I'm very excited about.
Great. You said that you have been able to understand a lot from them and how their system works, how they behave, how they understand things. But what was the other side? Were they better off after you stayed with them for 1 year? Did they understand you and in the other countries where students come from, and how we behave, how we talk and how we eat and how we react in different circumstances.
Yeah, I think so. There was definitely exchange in both ways. I think both me and my host family, both of our minds were like opened up even more after this exchange. And most host families are repetitive host families, meaning like once they host an exchange student next year, they're usually willing to host another exchange student from the same or different country, which really means that they must have gotten something out of that year hosting the students, which is why they're still interested to be hosting other students the following years. So for example, I work on menstruation equity and menstrual hygiene awareness a lot. So when I first moved to the US, it is still a taboo back home. But when I moved to the US and I asked my host mom to bring me menstrual products, she was like, "Oh, I'll ask your dad to bring it from Walmart." And I was quite shocked and feeling uncomfortable at the time. So these are like very little things. And then my host family had pets.
This is a cultural shock.
Exactly, a complete cultural shock. And so it took me a while to adjust to those environments and those the way they think and they accept things. So these are some things that I learned and brought back to my home country. On the other hand, they also got to learn about things like, for example, there's a lot of I guess lack of knowledge about what happens beyond America within American students. So we get questions like, "Oh, so do you have McDonald's? How do you go? Do you have cars in your country?" And very silly questions, really. But once they got to know us, they got to learn about our cultures. There is a thing called International Education Week when we have to make presentations on our different countries. So I made Bangladeshi food like khichuri and stuff like that, and then they tried. Like for them, it was a complete new experience doing henna, mehendi, and so they were really excited and they took it with open heart, really. So I think they also learned a lot about different things that can happen beyond America, and for me as well, I learned a lot of things that I could apply back in my home country.
Right. What one thing you thought that they were unable to understand about Bangladesh or your background?
Well, most people think that we are part of India. I think that geography-wise, that was like most people are like, "Oh, so you're from India," or just from my skin color, probably they assume it automatically.
Did you have a word with the geography teacher?
Sorry?
Did you have a word with the geography teacher?
Well, I mean, yes, but most students have that notion like, okay, so you're from India. So I had to sort of explain our history and where we are now and that we are an independent country. So that seemed to be at the time a very common challenge.
Well, you would have the chance again to find out.
Right, yes.
Okay, ma'am, we need to take another short break, and then when we come back, we'll continue this very interesting discussion.
Sure.
Thank you, viewers, for being with us, and we hope that you're enjoying this show with very interesting discussion that we are having about life in America and in Malaysia. See you after this short break. Thank you. Welcome. We have been talking about different aspects of youth awareness with our youngest today, Shomi Hassan Chaudhary. She is a Diana Legacy Award winner. Shomi, your community service experience in the US. Now, you were granted a US high school scholarship or something?
Yes.
Yes, for 1 year?
Yes.
You stayed with the family, we were talking about in the last segment, and the idea was to make them aware of the different parts of the world and how other people live and how they think, how they react to different things. And you mentioned 9/11, and after that this was introduced because young people were brought in invited to live with a US family. Right. What was your motivation for water and sanitation?
Thank you for that question. So, as you rightly mentioned, like one of the biggest aspects of the U.S. Exchange, the YES program, is really to provide young people the opportunity to also become volunteers and just getting used to the idea of giving back to their community. Mm-hmm. And because the U.S. families were hosting us for 1 whole year, it was a program requirement to do a certain number of hours of community service to, in a sense, to thank the host community for hosting us. So when I was in the US, I did involve myself with different kinds of volunteering and community service activities. So for example, there are different clubs in my school, like recycling clubs, clubs that work with or for the development of people with disabilities. Then, for example, I volunteered in Thanksgiving dinner or Halloween.
Were all these hands-on experiences?
Yes, yes, exactly. I had the opportunity to work with different kinds of communities, really. So, for example, we organized a Thanksgiving dinner where I volunteered, and that Thanksgiving dinner was for teenagers who were like unwanted pregnant teens. So these kind of things. And then I also did like tree plantation activities, cleanup, beach cleanup, and so on. I also volunteered in a local community church in their nursery, in a daycare center, also their church kitchen. So as a Muslim student myself, the idea of even going to a church, attending, like not attending their service per se, but actually volunteering in a church, and also for them opening their door to me as a Muslim, there was a lot of religious acceptance, I would say. So these opportunities really not only opened my door in the sense of just counting hours of community service, but also learn a lot about how people
it broadened your vision about
exactly.
and your attitude, it changes.
Absolutely, yes. And I think this is something that is extremely important and needed for us to cultivate in our mind, because we will take up important leadership positions in the world in the coming decade, and it's important to have that sense of solidarity and sense of openness. So which is why I'm very grateful. And by the end of the year, I ended up doing 460 hours of community service, and then I was given the President's Volunteer Service Gold Award by President Obama, and that motivated me to come back to my home country, because I was thinking, why did I do all these work to thank my host community, right? But my country, Bangladesh, has been hosting me since my birth, so I also have a responsibility towards my own community.
You pay the debt.
Yes, so I wanted to pick up those skills that I've gotten in the US, and then I wanted to bring those back home. So after coming back to Bangladesh, I almost immediately I was elected as one of the executive members of the Yes Alumni Bangladesh Association. So through that organization, I was doing a lot of work in the field. But at the time, I didn't really have any particular focus area. So I was working on youth skills development, women empowerment, technology-related projects, and so on. However, in 2014, unfortunately, on the Bengali New Year's Day, my mother passed away from diarrhea. And she was sick for only one day. So the day before she went to work, and the next day she is gone. So obviously, as you can imagine, it was a huge shock. So my family was devastated. And having come from a privileged family, like I never had issues in terms of access to clean water or sanitation and so on. If this tragedy could hit our family, I was thinking, what about those vulnerable groups who don't have the knowledge, education, and so on? And then I did some research, and I found the link between access to clean water, sanitation, and preventable diseases like diarrhea. Even we were talking about dengue earlier, the neglected tropical diseases. These are all preventable diseases, and we all can play a part to make sure that no one dies.
And these are all waterborne diseases.
Exactly. Yes. So if we as a community can be more aware, and we have access to the means to tackle these diseases, then no one has to go through what I have been through.
Have you tested the water in the tap that runs to homes in Bangladesh? Are they safe? Because whenever I go, I see people drinking out of bottles.
Yes. So no, it's definitely not. Unlike in the UK, we can't drink tap water. It's definitely not safe. So which is why one of our campaigns include like teaching people how to filtrate water at home, and the importance of it, because a lot of people actually, because of lack of knowledge and awareness, they don't do that, and they just drink water as it is, or they can afford to buy.
The problem is not with the water when it is at the center from where water works, but from where it is being pumped to the houses. It is the pipes that runs through the, and these are very age-old pipes, you see.
Exactly.
They're rusted, and they are the ones that are the
a lot of times also like the sewerage line gets mixed up. So I think these are there are so many ways to tackle these issues, because, and I think that's where like the municipality, the local governments can actually play a part in fixing these and addressing these issues. So yeah, that is really how I was motivated to work in the WASH space.
When you came back from the US with all these modern ideas as a young person, how were you received by your age group?
They were actually pretty curious and pretty interested to learn more about what I've learned, how my experience was, and they were always enthusiastic about volunteering. I have organized hundreds of events, but I've never faced a time where there was a lack of volunteer. Whenever I reached out to young people, there was at least 5 people who would be interested to spend their time and energy and enthusiasm on that project. Which is why I think, again, circling back to how we started our conversation about youth development, it is so important to recognize that young people actually have that enthusiasm, that interest to do something for their community. All we need is to actually give them that opportunity, the resources, build their capacity so that they can actually use those skills and actually apply it in real life. So yeah, definitely I think that they were very interested, and even now we see even more like how young people from even at a younger age, they're doing different activities involving themselves.
Well, Bangladesh is a young country and it has a large population of young people, you see.
Yes.
And if they are motivated to do the right things at the right time, in the right way, then the sky is the limit, to see.
Absolutely.
And it's more important that people of your age are involved in this, because when somebody old is asking them to do this, do that, you see, it doesn't work as much as if one of their age joins them and tells them to do this. You see, let us do it. See, not you do it, but let's do it together.
Yeah.
And that works more, see.
Absolutely.
And we hope that with your knowledge and understanding and your experience in the States and in Malaysia, and with the Dana Legacy project, Bangladesh will learn a lot more and will be a better place to practice youth awareness, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming along, and thank you for sharing your views with us. The last point that I wanted to make was, I was reading about bed bugs in France, you see. This is not a waterborne disease, you see, but how is it that somehow it's coming back to the earth, and particularly in developed nations of Europe?
Yeah, it is something that I'm yet to also discover even more and read about. But yes, this is definitely something that goes to show that these kind of issues is not something that is bordered within countries like Bangladesh or developing countries or the global south, but even global north countries can also be affected by diseases like this. And I heard that it's probably hitting the UK as well, which is also very concerning.
That's a very horrendous thought. Anyway, on that horrendous thought, we hope that we have understood the problems, and we will discuss it later, inshallah. Thank you very much for coming along. Thank you, viewers, for watching the program today with us, and we hope that we have shared the views of a young person from Bangladesh who has a lot of experience in youth empowerment, and inshallah, one day again, we will invite her to share more. Thank you very much for being with us.